Not all betrayals deserve forgiveness. Some demand silence and distance. What do you do when someone who smiled with you, ate with you, called you family, quietly poisons your name behind closed doors? What do you do when the people you trusted the most use that trust as a weapon against you? There's a man I once knew, kind, giving, loyal to a fault. He forgave every joke made at his expense. He excused every broken promise. He stayed, even when it slowly broke him, because he believed loyalty meant staying, even when they didn't. Until one day, they didn't even bother to hide their betrayal. They laughed at him, not just behind his back, but to his face. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He simply walked away. No goodbye. No closure. Just silence. This video is not about revenge. It's about self-respect. And the 5 betrayals you must never let slide. When someone crosses the line, don't argue. Don't explain. Just cut them off, silently. Betrayal doesn't always come with a knife in your back. Sometimes, it comes with a smile, a carefully chosen silence, a harmless joke, and before you even realize it, you've been bleeding trust slowly, quietly. In Stoic philosophy, we are taught to observe, to read human behavior with clarity, not with emotion. Not everyone who laughs with you is your friend. Not everyone who says, "I care," truly does. And while forgiveness is a virtue, so is discernment. Let's talk about 5 betrayals that should never be excused. Not once. Not ever. If someone does these to you, cut them off. Silently. Fully. 1. Consistent disrespect disguised as jokes. They say it's just banter. They call you names, mock your insecurities, and brush it off with, "Come on, don't be so sensitive." But over time, these words plant seeds of self-doubt. A person who truly respects you will protect your dignity, not play with it. 2. Backstabbing by someone you trusted. This one cuts deep. You share something personal. They share it for attention. You help them rise. They push you down when the spotlight hits. Trust, once broken this way, doesn't deserve repair, because someone who sells your trust once will do it again. 3. Emotional manipulation. This betrayal isn't loud. It's subtle. They make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. They twist your words, gaslight your intentions, until you start questioning your own sanity. This is not love. This is control. And the stoic thing to do is walk away before you lose yourself. 4. Selective loyalty. They're there when you're winning, when it benefits them. But when storms come, silence. Real loyalty doesn't disappear when you're no longer useful. Cut off those who only show up for the good parts. 5. Public shaming. Ever had someone air your pain in front of others? Laugh about your vulnerability for a crowd? That is not a mistake. It's a choice. One meant to humiliate you while they pretend it's harmless. This is a betrayal of your humanity. Do not let it slide. Each of these betrayals may look small when isolated, but together they're poison. Not forgiving them isn't about holding a grudge. It's about protecting your peace. A stoic doesn't need drama. You don't need to announce your departure. You simply recognize the rot and leave. With no hate, with no fanfare, just silence. Because sometimes the loudest message is walking away with your dignity intact. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius, Meditation 6.6. Think about that. When someone wrongs us, the natural impulse is to respond, to explain, confront, or even retaliate. But Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, warns us of a deeper trap, becoming like those who harmed us. He was betrayed, politically, personally, and repeatedly. He was surrounded by flatterers, traitors, manipulators. But he didn't waste energy plotting revenge or proving them wrong. He simply lived in a way that refused to resemble their darkness. When Marcus said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy," he was pointing to something radical. Self-restraint is power. Because the moment you mirror their cruelty, you hand them your character. You become part of the very behavior that wounded you. The Stoics were never weak. They were warriors of the inner life. And Marcus knew, the enemy isn't just out there. The real battle is staying true to your principles when tested by betrayal. So, what does this mean in practice? It means you don't need to shout back at the person who lied. You don't need to post cryptic messages online, or try to hurt them like they hurt you. You don't even need to wait for closure. Instead, you remain calm. You observe. You understand. And you choose your response. Not from ego, but from clarity. You cut off what's poisonous, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Marcus also reminds us elsewhere in Meditations that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. It's tempting to think that revenge or confrontation will give us closure. But often, it just entangles us deeper in chaos. Silence, on the other hand, is clean. Walking away with grace, without becoming like them. That's the Stoic way. You don't need to destroy them. Just stop giving them access to the person they betrayed. That is the kind of revenge that leaves no scars, only peace. And as Marcus knew well, peace isn't passive. It's the strongest stance of all. In today's world, betrayal doesn't always look dramatic. It often hides behind screens, smiles, and subtweets. But the Stoic response remains timeless. Let's look at some real-life examples where silence is not just powerful, it's essential. 1. The workplace friend who uses you. You brainstorm together. You help them fix their mistakes. Then one day, they take your idea, pitch it to the boss, and claim all the credit. You're left speechless. A Stoic wouldn't cause a scene or chase validation. They would note the betrayal, withdraw trust, and recenter their focus on what they can control. Their work ethic, their integrity. No gossip, no revenge. Just quiet redirection of energy. 2. The romantic partner who gaslights you. They flirt with others, disrespect your feelings, and when confronted, they say, "You're too sensitive," or "You're imagining things." Over time, your confidence erodes. What would a Stoic do? Not scream, not beg. They would observe the repeated disrespect and quietly choose dignity over attachment. Cutting them off doesn't need a long speech. Sometimes, peace begins with unanswered messages and a phone that never rings again. 3. The family member who publicly humiliates you. At gatherings, they expose your secrets for laughs. They downplay your efforts. They mock your dreams, always with a smile. Modern society says, but they're family. Stoicism says, blood doesn't justify abuse. You don't have to create conflict, but you can create distance. You can stop sharing. You can remove access without announcing it. Silence becomes your boundary. 4. Social media and passive-aggressive betrayal. They never support your wins in private. But the moment you fail, they like every post that mocks you, repost jokes at your expense, or subtly target you online. The Stoic response? No retaliation. Unfollow quietly. Block if needed. Move on. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to rise above petty games, not play them better. In a world obsessed with reaction, silence becomes a rare and powerful act. It's not about pretending you're unaffected. It's about choosing not to perform pain for an audience that never cared in the first place. Your silence tells them, you don't get to hurt me twice. Once when you betrayed me, and again when I waste my energy reacting to it. That's modern Stoicism. Not loud, not flashy, but deeply rooted in self-mastery. And in an age of noise, the person who can walk away quietly is the person everyone eventually hears the loudest. Forgiveness is a virtue, but forgetting who you are is a mistake. There comes a time when protecting your peace matters more than proving your point. You don't owe people explanations for walking away from disrespect. You don't need to gather witnesses before cutting ties with someone who has already shown you who they are. You owe yourself your own loyalty. The Stoics taught us that our power lies in how we respond, not how we're treated. And sometimes the strongest response is silence. No drama, no revenge, no bitterness. Just a quiet decision that says, you no longer have access to me. So ask yourself, who have I kept in my life out of guilt, not respect? Who has crossed the line again and again, and still expects my loyalty? Who needs to lose access to my energy, my time, and my kindness today? You don't need to announce your boundaries. You don't need to explain your exit. You only need to remember this. Not everyone deserves to finish the story they began in your life. Cut them off, silently, not to punish them, but to protect the peace you fought to build. And if this message speaks to something in you, if you're learning to walk away, to choose strength over noise, then you're not alone. Subscribe to this channel. This is Stoicism for the modern soul, quiet, grounded, unshakable.